Hi, I'm Stavros. Good morning and welcome to Rathcoole in County Cork in Ireland. And today, guys, I'll be showing you around this helicopter, the Irish Community Rapid Response Air Ambulance. So this is the Agusta A109 Power. And we'll be joined by the pilot, John Murray. He'll be showing us all around this helicopter and going down through all the interior, all the controls, and just what this helicopter is all about and how it's going to save lives in Ireland. So yeah, guys, let's get to it. Let's have a chat with John Murray. So John, where will we start? What do you want to explain first?
Well, first of all, welcome to our facility here at Rathcoole Airfield. This is our Agusta A109 helicopter, Italian made, quite sleek, very fast, twin engine machine, capable of flight in what we call instrument flight rules, IFR, and visual flight rules. As I say, twin engine machine, cruises at 160 miles an hour.
Wow, that's fast.
Yeah, quite stable. Nice size. Our landing site selection is influenced by the size of the aircraft. So this actually is quite a versatile aircraft from a size point of view.
Yeah.
And also chosen because of its speed, because of its carrying capacity and operating cost.
And John, what does it weigh?
This aircraft weighs empty about 2 tons.
It only weighs 2 tons.
2 tons in total, yeah. Aircraft are made incredibly light.
And that's including fuel?
No fuel.
Oh, yeah.
The aircraft itself is about 2 tons and it can carry approximately 560 kilos of fuel.
And like how long would that last you, tank-wise?
We would burn 220 kilos an hour. So you're looking at 2-hour flight time plus reserve. And but bear in mind that, as I say, we fly at 160 miles an hour, 140 odd knots.
Yeah.
So you'll actually cover quite some ground with that fuel reserve, you know. So.
All right, John. We'll just work our way.
We'll have a look at the aircraft, as I say. Seating configuration in the HEMS role, which we are operating it as. We have the pilot sits here in the right-hand seat. Then we have a paramedic sitting up front. The paramedics are trained in accordance with aviation legislation, EASA legislation, and they're known in aviation parlance as technical crew members.
All right.
And they're trained in meteorology, navigation, map reading, systems checking, various things like that. So they actually form part of the flight crew.
Yeah. But we'll have a better, more detailed look at the controls later. We're just because the rain is starting to come down slightly.
we fly obviously with a crew of 3. So we have the pilot, we have one paramedic, and a second in the back here, and then we fly to the scene with the equipment ready to use, which is stored on the stretcher unit. Also in the back, then we have a monitor defib unit, and separately at the front there we have a suction unit, and there's various bits of medical equipment in the drawers here. We have a spare seat, so say for instance you may be carrying, say, a child and a parent as a guardian, whatever. Yeah. Okay, so as I say, the aircraft is a twin engined aircraft. The engines are American made, Pratt & Whitney.
Right.
These are the engines. They're quite small but quite powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So we use about 220 kilos, which is about 275 litres of fuel an hour. That's combined. There's 2 engines, one each side. Engines are quite small, quite compact. 2 moving parts in the main body of the engine. 56,000 RPM for the gas generator section. 44,000 for the power turbine. There's a gearbox attached to the front of the engine. That brings that 44,000 RPM down to about 6,000 RPM, drives into the main rotor gearbox, and that reduces it to about just under 400 for the main rotor.
Right.
So powerful engines, but as I say, they do drink juice.
Yes.
So I'll take that down.
And John, we'll just go back to the rear here because it's quite strange what this little pole is hanging off the rear here.
That pole is there to protect the tail rotor.
Right.
So as we come in and slow down, this aircraft, obviously we can hover, it's a helicopter, but slowing down requires a pitch up attitude, which obviously will lower the tail. And that is there. We would never anticipate striking the ground with that, but it's there as a precaution and it's there to protect the tail rotor. It also has a secondary function in that it is a tuned piece of metal. It vibrates at a certain level to minimize or eliminate vibration within the airframe itself.
Right, okay. And John, I was just looking at the air pressure as well, 85 psi, just in case
The
anyone's
tires,
wondering.
yeah, it's quite. They're small tires.
Yeah.
There's quite some pressure in them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, 3-point, 3-point landing gear, it can make landing quite easy.
Yeah.
It also makes handling at smaller airports very acceptable to other traffic, in that we land and we can taxi in on the ground at minimal power settings, so there's no great rotor downwash. So if you're flying in among or close to other small airplanes and things on the ground, you're not going to damage them. And
plus, if you're landing in, say, a football pitch, you're not damaging the pitch so much.
Not really. It's quite a light aircraft.
Yes.
So you'll fly in, we'll land, and we don't put huge divots in the ground, which is, we're always trying to be neighbourly friendly as such. So it makes that bit of difference.
So we're going to walk around. I'll walk around this side, John, and you can hop into the pilot seat. And I'll just get Donny to open the door for me there. Thanks, Donny. Yeah, the Irish Community Rapid Response Air Ambulance. Yeah, we'll just go down through some of the controls. This is your helmet, John.
This is my helmet. We all wear helmets in HEMS. Given the nature of what we do, we are going to unprepared sites, but it's very controlled in that there's very, very stringent procedures before we land at a site, to do with site selection and suitability. Just as a precaution, the crew on board will always wear a helmet.
Yeah.
Inside the aircraft itself, we have 3 main flying controls. So we have the collective in the left hand. So raise the collective, the aircraft will go up. Lower it to come down. We have the cyclic in the right hand, and it controls the direction of the aircraft. So again, in the hover, we move that to the right hand side. We can fly sideways to the right and left, and it'll do a full 360 degrees. And then we have pedals, one on each foot.
Yeah.
The pedals are there to counter torque, so the pedals control the pitch of the tail rotor.
All right, okay.
And that's your main anti-torque device. Looking at the screens, radios, so comm and nav systems, we have GPS. These screens here are mainly to do with vehicle system management. We have nav displays here. So we have an airspeed indicator, we have altimeter, and we have a vertical speed indicator. These would be your main, this is your main navigation display here.
And everything is replicated on this side?
Indeed, yeah. So again, they're independent units, and from an artificial horizon point of view, so because this machine is capable of flight in cloud and in poor visibility conditions, we have a third artificial horizon. All right, okay. Sitting here. Controls, for those who are used to them, are quite simple. We have obviously landing gear controls. We have a parking brake. It is quite a simple system for those in the know as such. Down here, interestingly, then we have a radio system that has been installed to talk directly to the ambulance service that we work for.
All right, okay.
So we have comms with ambulance control, and we can also contact ambulance crews direct on the ground.
And John, you were telling me as well that if you fly above 2,000 feet, there is a risk of building up, like in winter conditions.
In winter, yeah. So this aircraft itself is not cleared for flight in what we call icing conditions. Icing conditions would be when the temperature is near zero and there's visible moisture in the air. So we've got to be quite careful in the winter months to avoid flight in cloud if the temperature is near zero. So this aircraft, as I say, is not cleared for flight in icing conditions.
Because you were saying earlier that if it was 6 degrees on the ground, it could be
on average
freezing.
Yes, a rule of thumb would be for every 1,000 feet you go up, the temperature will drop 2 degrees. And once you come really below 4 degrees, approaching the 0 degree point, you run the risk of getting icing on the blades and on the airframe itself. Yeah. Which, as I say, this aircraft is not cleared for, and could be catastrophic. So we will always avoid that. But again, these systems, or these met conditions, if you like, are addressed every morning. The pilot comes in, checks the weather for the operating area, and is then obliged to sit down with the medical crew for the day as technical crew members, as we explained earlier, and explain the weather situation and limitations that may be pertinent for the day, such as strong winds, freezing levels, but obviously icing conditions, fog. We can't. That would stop us going. If there's forecast lightning, we will not go into cloud, where there may be what we call embedded CB activity. So that again would be. So from a Met point of view, there's several Met conditions that would stop us from flying.
Very good, John. But we're just going to chat with John Carney now. John, he's going to fill us in with more information as to how the whole Irish Community Rapid Response Air Ambulance, how it all came about, how it started.
John has been with this for quite some time. He is the driving force behind it, and he's a force to be reckoned with. Yeah, so we'll have a chat with John. But John Murray, thank you very much. You're very welcome
for showing us around this.
You're welcome.
This Agusta A109 Power. There you go, guys, and that's the number plate GSHLE. Keep an eye out for it on the skies, and give John a thumbs up from
Cheers,
the ground.
Guys.
Thanks, John. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm now joined by John Carney. This is the man, the driving force behind why we're here today and this helicopter. So, John, can you just explain to us how it all came about? Where did you come up with the idea?
Back about 12 years ago, a very good friend of mine's 6-year-old daughter was in the back of an ambulance heading to hospital, and she turned around to her mother and she screamed at her. She says, Mammy, I don't want to die. And unfortunately she passed away due to the time delay it took her to get to definitive care. Now, since that time in 2008, we started a rapid response service with one doctor and one car. We've developed that now up to 237 doctors and over 10 cars throughout the country. And here in the airbase in North Cork, in Rathcoole, the biggest, greatest thing, we are now 1 week live on our air ambulance service, which is a 7-day-a-week service, providing a life-saving service to the people of the south of Ireland, but it's there also for anyone in the other parts of the country if they need it. We have a full range to go throughout the country.
All right, and John, we had a truck run as well recently, collecting funds for this down in Mill Street. I was down at that run. Yeah,
in fairness, the big challenge that we have as a charity, it costs us €2 million to deliver this service every year. And some people say, like, that's a really big ask and a cost. Yeah. And people say the state should be doing it. But if the state does it, it'll probably cost 3 times as much. So that means this helicopter is there, it's belonged to the people, and it's there for the people. We've got it in the air, and now we want communities to come behind us. And one great example of that community is the Mill Street Vintage Club have come in, rode in behind us, and they've done a wonderful truck run last week in Mill Street, which I was at, and it was the most amazing to see almost 200 trucks at this event participating, giving up their Sunday, going around, and cost of fuel and time to go out and support this really great life-saving service, because it doesn't matter what you have in your pocket or what you don't have. There's a time when you're in an emergency, it doesn't matter if you're side of the road, in a farmyard, time is of an essence, and this service that will be available 7 days a week will benefit everyone in the country, and it's there for everyone, and it's belonged to the community. It's not a state service. This is a community project. We don't get state support. The partnership, we deliver this, we build the base, we supply the pilots, we supply the helicopter. The Department of Health and the National Ambulance Service put the medical crew in there. We do everything else, fuel, everything. And that's the great support that the communities, the likes of Mill Street Vintage Club and other communities throughout the country are there to support. And that we really welcome that, because, as I said, you never know where or when you'll need us, but it's great that we know that it's at the end of a phone available to us.
And John, will there be more helicopters coming?
In this country, we have 2 helicopters, one based in Athlone, and we've now another one down here. Wales, next door to us, is 1/3 the size of Ireland. They got 3 million people. They have 4 helicopters funded by the people of Wales. So the answer is yes, we need more. Politically, I can't say that we're going to be putting in a lot more, but yes, that is my question. This helicopter going live last week is a great advancement, but we're not finished yet. We have to. I'm not going to rest until everyone has a fair service compared to other parts of Europe.
Brilliant. But John Carney, thank you very much. We're just going to have one quick last chat with John Murray, the pilot. He wants to show us something on the map. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back with John Murray here. So John, this is where you get the call in.
Yeah,
This is your base.
This is the operations base. So the paramedics for the day will receive a call from the ambulance control centre. One of the first bits of information they receive is a latitude and longitude, and for a gross error check they'll receive a townland associated with that. So once we get a latitude and longitude, or a townland, I will then look for the information I need is what direction we're going in and how long it's going to take to get to where we're going.
Yeah.
So say for instance we're going to Nina.
Yeah.
We just move this marker from our base position down here up towards Nina. That will give me an indication of the direction we're going to fly out on. And also if you look at the nut over on the right hand side.
This is quite unusual, guys. You see the string is coming from John's hand the whole way up here, and then this nut, look. It moves up and down.
And it gives me an indication that's going to take me 25 minutes to get to Nina.
Yeah, I've never seen this before, guys.
It's a very simple system. It's old technology, but it works very, very well.
So John, if you move it from Nina up to Portlaoise, what time are we talking?
Well, we had Portlaoise in 37 minutes, say.
That's very unusual.
Yeah. So, but it's a simple system that works.
Yeah.
So once I get that information, I now have a direction I'm going to travel in, and I have an idea of how long it's going to take me to get there. I go out then, while the guys are taking the rest of the call details, I go out and I'll start the aircraft.
Yeah.
So we can actually be airborne from call coming in to getting airborne can be as little as 2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes, guys.
So
from getting the call
to
getting the aircraft up
to wheels up. So
that's unreal.
we get out of here fairly quick.
Yeah.
And get en route. And as I said earlier, bear in mind we fly at 140 knots, 160 miles an hour, and that side of the chart there will give us an indication of how long it takes us to get to scene.
Going from where we are now, Rathcoole in County Cork, up to Portlaoise in 37 minutes, that's fast.
Yeah, no, it is. It's fast. A very efficient way of doing it, and bearing in mind that obviously the primary purpose of the unit is to get our guys to the scene. And then, if necessary, we have the capability of transporting a patient then to an appropriate hospital, not necessarily the nearest one.
And John, you have landed on motorways before, have you?
Yeah, motorways would be quite a common landing for us. Motorways, roads, small gardens, or
small gardens.
As long as we have our minimum landing site is what we call 2D. So the aircraft length is 1D, and we need twice the aircraft length to land in. We don't routinely do it. We would prefer to go to bigger sites from a safety point of view. But we can do it, and it's quite often done landing in 2D sites.
John Murray, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Cheers. Okay guys, that's where I'm going to wrap it up today from Rathcoole in County Cork, the Irish Community Rapid Response Air Ambulance. Very interesting learning about this Agusta A109 Power helicopter. So this helicopter is 19 years of age, and back in 2000, John, you were saying maybe about 2.5 million? Roughly. But a very, very good service, guys, and hopefully with more funding they can get a second helicopter up into the skies. Badly needed, as John Carney was telling me. But a huge thanks to John Murray, the pilot, for having me here today. Thanks, John. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I really enjoyed it, learning all about the helicopter and the service. And I'll leave their website detail in the description if you want to know more about giving donations for this helicopter. But thank you all very much for watching, and I'll chat to you all again next weekend for another video. So until then, take care, guys. Cheers! So this is belonged to the Irish Community Rapid Response. So we'll be learning all about our... John, your model helicopter is so heavy. It's made out of solid wood, guys. Oh, that's heavier than your helicopter, John. The weight of it.